Buckle up for a new episode of the S.H.E podcast, the show where we have real and raw conversations to inspire and empower you to be seen and heard so you can create balance and everything you want in your life and business. I'm your host, S.H.E, and I'm excited to walk alongside of you on this journey of being seen, heard, and empowered. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the S.H.E podcast, Be Seen, Be Heard, Be Empowered. And I have just spent 20 minutes behind the scenes with this amazing woman and human who has now become a sister from another mother. I have to have her in my life going forward every day. I think I'm going to have to call her and chat. That's how awesome she is. And I can't wait to introduce you to her. Before we dive into our topic, because we're going to talk a little bit about sales today. We're going to talk about the learnings that we've had from our past experiences and our story and our journey that got here. But before we dive into that, if you are looking to grow your business in the next year and you feel like you've been stuck, visibility is a big key to that. If you can't grow a business without being visible, and my guest is a prime example of that with her social media platforms and her podcast. If you're looking to change things up and you feel like you've been stuck, then go and grab my Spotlight to Scale blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com, where we're going to walk you through the 3 phases of growing your visibility through the spotlight phase, getting your leads and having them consistently come in through the velocity phase, and how to consistently convert those leads into paying customers and clients through the profits phase. Go to spotlighttoscale.com. And now I'm excited to share with you Victoria Racca. Hi, Victoria. Thank you so much for being with me here today. I have already had so much fun with you. I can't wait for this conversation.
Well, hi, Heidi. It's nice to formally meet you. I don't think that we actually even said hello. I think you just on the camera, and I was like, let me tell you about my dog. I'm very personable. I'm very easy to chat with, and it's on purpose because I'm a podcast host, and you're the same way. I think that's probably why we couldn't get out of a conversation for 20 minutes.
Exactly. It was 20 minutes. I'm like, we got to record. Let me introduce everybody to you real quick, Victoria, and then we will jump right in. Victoria Racca is the dynamic force. You already know she's dynamic, behind 2 thriving businesses, and is the host of Glam Life podcast. As the founder of the Microblading Institute and Brow Sister, she's on a mission to empower women to reclaim their time and embrace entrepreneurship. The Microblading Institute, a licensed trade school under the Board of Colleges, has been franchised across 6 locations in the U.S. Brow Sister, Victoria's e-commerce venture, specializes in manufacturing premium numbing products for cosmetic tattooing and is committed to providing access to affordable and quality PMU supplies. Victoria is also your #1 source for beauty industry breaking news through her platforms. Again, welcome, Victoria. My first question for you, and I ask this of all my guests because I love the journey and love the story, is you now have 2 businesses and a podcast, and you're a mom and a wife, and you're doing all the things. Is your journey into entrepreneurship something that happened from your journey into how you help women in your beauty industry now, something that you learned because you just had a passion for that skill and wanted to develop it? Or is this something that stems from something you've been through in your life and decided that you've helped yourself through it and now are helping others?
I know that you asked this question to everyone in a different form, and I really mulled it over. I really thought hard about my answer to this because it's a little bit of both. I am passionate about helping women, but it stemmed from something that I needed help with. Once I conquered it for myself, I thought, well, this is how I'm going to help specifically mothers, and even more specifically, mothers with small children who are becoming of age to go to school. I always say my ideal client, which I know will speak to the core of you because you love marketing, my ideal client is like me. Her name is Brittany, and she is a mom of little kids, and she either works a job and wants to be the kind of mom she wants to be, where she's available for, I have to stay home because my kid's sick, or I'm going on the field trip, or I'm the room mom, or whatever it may be. Or maybe she is a mom and she wants to have a little something of her own as her kids are leaving home and going to kindergarten and first grade, and she's got a little bit of extra time on her hands. Or maybe she just wants to be able to be the mom who says, you know what, we're going on vacation next week and I'm paying for it. With your mom, that's a little difficult to do sometimes. I do that through the lens of permanent makeup, but I could do it through anything because I've been an entrepreneur since 6 years old. In first grade, my parents added on this little shed or whatever by the house,
Mm.
and there were materials left over. So I took a 2x4 piece of one and nailed roofing nails into it and painted it and brought it to school and made my teacher buy it. I told her that it was a coat rack. And I had no idea that I was being entrepreneurial. I just was
I
having
love
fun.
that. Oh,
I've
that's
been this
awesome.
way my whole life. So if
Mm.
it wasn't permanent makeup, it was going to be something. And I think that's why it's ventured into other things where I'm now in manufacturing and I'm in coaching. I think you can't sit still. Entrepreneurs make the worst employees. I can't sit behind a desk for 8 hours. I would drive someone crazy doing that. And vice versa. If you don't have that entrepreneurial spirit and you try every day to wake up and chase your dinner, you're going to be so fatigued of it and think, can I just have a job?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a really good point. Not everybody is made to be an entrepreneur, and there's nothing wrong with that. Whoever you are, or whatever your role you best fit into, it's just important that you find that. And I think a lot of people go into entrepreneurship thinking of the glitz and the glam and the possibilities that they hear from other people. And it's really not, they hate it. They don't, it's not for them. So if you're feeling that way, and, or you're wondering which, there's entrepreneurship, there's entrepreneurship, there's employees, there's managerial roles, there's all different kinds of roles to fall into. I have a question for you because you mentioned your avatar, your ideal client. And I know for many people, this is a struggle to find, and you are super clear. Her name is Brittany. She's a mom of little. How was that a challenge for you when you got started in your business? Because I know for me personally, it was a challenge finding that avatar, really getting niche down and going, I want to help everybody. I know that I can help so many different types of people. And then you hear broad is broke, nicher is richer, but then you're like, I'm going to be the exception. So is that something that was a challenge for you? Or, how did you finally dial into determining that Brittany is your person?
This is going to piss a lot of people off. I'm sorry about that. No, it wasn't difficult for me because I literally just looked at what I was doing and my own why, and then thought there are so many people who don't even know this is an option and I can do it for them. I have that answer for two very infuriating questions. People who say, how do you, I can't get in front of the camera. I can't do it. I can't do it. I could walk out with no speech prepared at all in front of 100,000 people and start talking. That has never, I'm missing that. What do they call it? A defense mechanism where your brain gives you this ego saying, oh no, you might embarrass yourself. Don't do it. Your brain's trying to protect you. My brain has absolutely no defenses. It's just like, yeah, do it, whatever. Just who cares? I knew who I wanted to help and what I wanted to do. I'm very decisive and I have no problem talking to her all the time, whether she's in the room or not.
That's amazing. And it's a good point that you say, who are you? And what is, you basically created Brittany off of similarities of you yourself and how you want to and who you want to work with. And many people I think struggle with that. And it's a good point to lean into. Who do you have fun working with? Who would you enjoy? You don't need to just work with everybody and anybody just to bring money in, because at the end of the day, if you're not enjoying the person you're working with, it's just not going to work.
And
And
they're not going to be happy with you.
they're not. And as an entrepreneur, I think there's a lot of people are like, okay, talk to your people. I got a fuzz flying around here. A lot of people are like, just get clients in and then you'll figure that out. But at the end of the day, I always tell my clients, you get to make this decision too. You get to be a yes to working with that person or not working with that person. So since creating your ideal client and understanding who that person wasn't a challenge for you, what is a challenge or some challenges that you faced when you were starting your business or even facing now?
When I was starting my business, I spent 2 years not turning a profit. And I know everyone knows that in the first year of any business, a new startup of any kind, whether you're solo or you're a restaurant fully staffed or you're a music producer, it doesn't matter. You don't expect to turn a profit in your first year because you're reinvesting back into the business and you're paying yourself back for the investment you've already made. That wasn't the problem. The problem was that I literally didn't have any money management skills at all. And I still struggle with it. And I'm terrible with numbers. Do you know? I paid someone to pass Math 100 for me in college. I
Wow.
failed it twice, had to sit out a semester and go to the community college because my university was like, no, if you fail the same class twice, you got to sit out. And when I came back, that's exactly what I did. I just found a mathematician, a nice, pretty girl named Ashlyn. What up, Ashlyn? She was a math major. She loves it, and it was easy for her because it's basic algebra. And I said, hey, I literally can't do it. And she said, oh, pay me $50 a test. My mom figured out what I was doing. She said very quietly, let me know if you need any money. Yeah. So
That's good.
yeah, thanks for that. Mushrooms, I've had enough. I'm exhausted. Money
Shout
management
out
was
to
an
mom
issue
and
for
shout
me.
out to Ashlyn.
Literally. So I spent the first 2 years on what I call the hamster wheel, where I was earning a little money so that I could pay for a new class, so that my before and afters would be better, so I could get more clients, and then I could use that money to pay off the credit card. And it was just this cycle, and I was never actually paying myself. And when I started to hit the 2 year mark and realized that things were not changing at all, and I was always almost at the finish line, but then not, I'm not an idiot. So I was like, obviously, I'm doing something wrong. And that's when I sat back and I read, and I always say to my students, I read books so you don't have to. I'm almost now at 100 books about
That's awesome.
business and marketing and management. So I really boned up on what I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know until somebody tells you. And then I
Exactly.
started seeking out mentorship. Coaches get coached. If you believe in coaching, you should have one. And I've had lots of different kinds of mentors. I've had people in all different sectors. I've had attorneys, I've had successful YouTubers, I've had tattoo apprenticeship. I've seen how different shops are run, how different policies are done, how to protect yourself. I have taken a buffet of trainings so that I could try and get some systems in place in my business and take some of the stress out of my life. Because when I started my business, I was 2 weeks pregnant and I didn't know. So I've never not been doing this with a baby strapped to me. I'm just kind of getting air now that they're 5 and 7 and in school.
Mm.
But it's been a busy decade of learning what I didn't know.
Yeah, that's great. I love that you've talked about the books and you talked about mentorship, because I think mentorship is really, really important. We've literally had coaches since we were, what, 5 years old? Those are our teachers. We've always had coaches. They're just called something different. And I tell my kids, you've got to put in the work in order to get the results that you want to get, and setting the goals and all those things. And that stems from when we enter school, whether it's 3 years old or 5 years old. And I don't think that we should ever stop having mentors. Not to say that we always need to be paying for them if you can't do that in that space, but finding somebody that you can work with until you can have the funds to invest in higher level mentors, where reaching out to mentors who are where you want to be. And that's always up leveling. That
Well,
being said,
that's
go ahead.
sorry. That's your ego. If you
Yeah,
don't, that's
right,
just your ego talking. You need to humble yourself a little bit and realize that you don't know everything, and
right.
that there are
Yeah.
people executing at a higher level than you who could actually teach you a whole lot. And I think that it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous notion. When you say it out loud, you'll think so to yourself too, anyone listening. If you've never done this before and you don't have someone telling you what to do or how to do something, you're just guessing your way through it. You're literally gambling with your own job. You're hoping that you guess your way into being successful. You might as well just play the lottery for a living, because the odds are that much stacked against you. There's so many rules and regulations you don't know, and they're going to come and take that money out of your pocket real quick, real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah. And those aren't the learning things that you want to get into. That's not how you want to learn that there's certain things that you don't want to learn the hard way when it comes to building your business. And that's one of them. So great point, Victoria. Another thing you mentioned is reading books. And I am currently reading Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And holy cow, I love it. And I've read 3 or 4 books in the past 2 months, and I really buckled down. That's one of my big goals this year, is reading more books. There's a gentleman who I follow, and he said his first $1 million year happened because he was reading a book a week. And I was like, okay, if that's what it's going to take, if that's one of the secret sauces to getting to my $1 million a year and hitting where I want to be, hey, I'm all for it. I'll read a book, even if I read a book every 2 weeks, right? At
Yeah.
least I'm reading more books than I did last year. So I love that you shared that. Do you have any favorites since you've read 100? Are there any that
Oh,
stand
yeah.
out for you?
John Warillo, Built to Sell. I love that book. And that is how I actually wound up doing what I call soft franchising. If you're familiar with the Mormon Housewives series, Soft Swinging, this is what I call soft franchising.
I did not know about that, but I have to check it out now.
It's a mess. It's a mess. I am celebrity and pop culture crazed. So there's not much, chronically online, there's not much that happens on the internet that I don't find out about. So just ignore me. But took my trade school, and I had these coaching students who also wanted to teach. They wanted to become educators, but they had no idea how to actually create a curriculum, and they were not going to sit down and figure it out. They just weren't. And it didn't matter how much coaching and pushing and bullying I did as their coach. They were never going to go and learn about the different learning types and, figure out how to craft a curriculum around that. And they said, well, can't I just use the booklet that my instructor gave me 10 years ago? No, that's called plagiarism. If you want to be the educator, you are supposed to be teaching them things that you know. So I wound up licensing my curriculum and then just having a central database of everyone who gets a certificate with my branding on it. And because I'm already up to par for our Board of Regents in the majority of states who wanted it, I met their requirements as well. So I could also help them open their own schools. And we just did it as like, your name, Amanda's Brow Bar with them. And I teach the Microblading Institute curriculum. So I didn't go and put a new location in 6 states. I just got into 6 locations in 6 states, which actually netted me a lot more money than if I had gone and gotten, oh God, all that overhead of having a building and having utilities and having licenses and all the rest. I didn't have to do all of that. And I created a train the trainer program with some pretty strict requirements to get them in there so that it was replicable. Everybody who was in it was going to be able to produce the exact same result that I already do. And they were going to do it in the exact same way so that it's uniform across all the different microblading institutes. And that is sellable because I'm not required to be there. I always talk, can we talk a little bit about Kylie Jenner?
Let's talk.
People,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
know people are so sick of her. I learned this from reading Built to Sell. Kylie Jenner is not a millionaire and she never was. But she didn't lie to Forbes magazine either. Now I'm making all this up. But this is what I think. This is what I think happened. I think Kylie Jenner owned Kylie Cosmetics, and for a few years, it did astronomical numbers. We know that's true. But remember when Forbes put her on the cover and said she was a self-made billionaire? We're going to omit the self-made part. That's not for us to debate. But then later they came out and said, hey, she cooked those books. Those numbers weren't quite true. I don't think they were lying. I think what happened is when Coty Cosmetics came in to acquire Kylie Cosmetics, they said, hey, the brand is actually centered around you and it can't survive without the Kylie for Kylie Cosmetics. You're the entire marketing plan. They probably forced her into something that's called an earnout, where they said, we'll give you $400 million for this company based on the projections that you have. And projections are always made up, no matter who you are, because it hasn't happened yet. So I don't care if you're a triple certified CPA, if such a thing exists. If you're giving me projections based on the last 3 years' numbers, they're made up. You have no idea if there's going to be COVID next year or something similar, a catastrophic event, or what if Kylie, God forbid, died? What happens to your company then if it's built around you?
Right.
So they said, look, because these numbers are made up, you're going to stay on and you're going to continue your marketing plan. And as we hit the numbers in your projections, we'll do little earnouts. You will earn these payouts over time. And that's not happening because Coty now owns the company. And I don't know if they have, but certainly they can. And lots of corporations do. They can move those mile markers around because they own the company and they're in control of it. You're not in control of the company anymore. So if they want to finagle things so that you don't quite hit that number so they don't have to pay you out, they can and will save themselves money. One thing we know about corporations, CEOs will save themselves money.
Yes.
So I think that's what was happening there. And when I read Built to Sell, that's when I was introduced to this concept of an earnout. And he was saying, you don't want the company tied to you specifically. You want the company to have so much value that you can come to the negotiating table, get what you want from it, and walk away and not continue to have to work at that company after you've sold it. In general, pink collar businesses never think about selling. I would venture to say, and me and math, 99% of pink collar jobs probably never even considered being able to sell their business. I think when people retire or quit, they just walk away from whatever they've built. But if you've built something that actually has value to it, you need to make sure that it's not a company called Browse by Brittany. It needs to be run without you. Walk away from your business for a full week. When you come back, will you still have customers and will you still have employees? If the answer is no, you cannot sell that business. It's too dependent on you.
You hear that. I've heard that a lot. And I've worked with my clients on that too. It's like, you need to be able to, that's a good judge of knowing, like, are you too involved with the business when it comes to all the day-to-day stuff, where you should be focusing on where your zone of genius is, and can the company run it so you can take vacation? Because if you can't take a week off or a week or two off and let the business run itself with your team behind you, then you really don't even have a business. You have a job.
Yep.
And that's not why we go into entrepreneurship. Many people, I always hear, I'm like, what you talked about your why earlier, and I'm big on the why. It's one of my first questions when I talk to somebody, what is your why? And many times they're not really clear on it. I knew mine right out of the gate. That was the one thing I was clear on when I started my business, was my why. I wanted to be home with my kids. I was coming out of a divorce. I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't earn an income. I needed to figure it out. I worked 2 jobs, But my long-term goal was I wanted to be home with my kids. They were young and I wanted to be able to pick them up and do the same things that I had done with them the years leading up to this. So when it comes to being able to step away for a week or two in really analyzing this, we hear it. Let's talk about branding. Because you have a great brand, you do, and I'm sure that was a labor of love, and you've just like your avatar, you've centered around your likes, and that's what really connects people to it because it's really authentic. You're
Yeah.
not trying to create something that I think this is what people are going to like and resonate with because I'm working with women and moms, so I'm going to go with this. No, it's all about you, and that's obvious from the get-go. When I was researching you and for you to come on here, I was like, oh, that's totally, yes, I want to have her because she's not trying to be somebody she's not, and you're unapologetic about it. So when it comes to, there can be some confusion there. We hear about the importance of building a personal brand, and then we also, from what you're just sharing, we need to be able to make sure that there is possibly a way to exit our company down the road, unless this is your goal. You just want to do this to create your income, and then when you're done, it closes and folds. If that's your goal, then that's fine. But for many people, if you're going to build this and spend all this time and energy in these years building something, there should be a thought around what does my exit strategy look like? And there's many coaches out there and consultants. I was one, S.H.E coaching. I can't exit out of that. There's no exit strategy there. It's like,
Right.
if I'm not in it, it's gone. Right.
Yeah.
So we literally have pivoted and we've launched our HLH Growth Solutions, which is an agency that can be exited out down the road if that's something that we decide to do. So what are your thoughts around, or your tips or expertise that you can share around somebody that has a personal brand? They've really spent a lot of time building that because that's what they're told. They've been told, in creating a brand that is exitable, if that's a word.
Yeah. I think when we look at personal branding, and we're talking specifically the niche that I'm in, pink collar jobs, which is mostly personal services, which means my hands actually do the work. Maybe you could hire other hands to also do work. That's another conversation. Think of it as renters versus homeowners. So if you pay the mortgage every single month and someone pays the rent every single month and they're the exact same amount of money, what's the difference? Who cares? The difference is at the end of it, do your kids have something to sell? Or do you have to get all this stuff out as soon as possible because the next tenant's moving in? If you just want to do your job and go home and you are not looking to expand, you don't want a second location, you don't want to create products, you don't want to have a team, that's fine. You can be Browsed by Brittany if that's your goal. And you can have an amazing relationship with a dozen, 2 dozen clients who come in all the time and get the best facials from you or the best nails. And it feels like a little girls club, and it's branded specifically to you and your personality and the relationship that you have to those clients. That's actually great. And those will probably become your lifers because it's a genuine, real connection that's based on your life and also their life. And that's okay. You can't sell it, but it doesn't matter because it's something that you're doing that you love. And that's the most important part. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. If you're creating personal branding that you did for and F everybody else, which is kind of how my branding is, and you hope to be able to sell it one day, the thing that you have to worry about when you're creating that branding is making sure that it's not necessarily for everyone, but palatable. So I had this one student a couple years ago. I'm not going to say her name because I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I won't forget this branding. Everybody wants to have black and white branding because they think it'll offend nobody. It's nice, it's classic, it's clean looking. Sure, it's boring. Okay, sorry if that's your branding colors. It's boring. So there's no personality to it. And that's what they want to do. They want to have like dark layer on the video and everything else. This girl was going to spice things up. She was in lingerie in all of her pictures and videos, selling lashes or brows or something. And I was like, it's getting a little, you were dancing on the edge. I think we've crossed it. There's a lot of cheeks. And if we're not doing ass facials, I'm not really sure who the target client is. That's probably the tip that I can give you is yes, it should be personable to you and something that you enjoy and that represents who you are, because your personal branding is going to magnetize people toward you who are like-minded with you and who would enjoy being in your space and who you would enjoy working with. And it will repel people who would not be enjoyable in your space. I always say there's a girl across, and this is real, there's a girl across town who has a brow bar just like mine. It's bigger, it's more of a med spa vibe. We have bad blood, but it's not because of brows. It's personal. So she has a nice spa. It's really nice. It's very clean looking. It's like whites and teals. They play Ed Sheeran on a loop. You look perfect. I'd kill myself. I'd kill myself. And then you come to my shop and it's loud and it's pink and it's Doja Cat and Ariana Grande and the sink just had the fridge just has Red Bulls in it. Some people would come to my shop and be overwhelmed and feel really uncomfortable. Some people would go to her shop and think, oh man, I can't be myself here. I have to be quiet and buttoned up and it's a really kind of sterile feeling environment. There should be a place for both because there are both kinds of people. I think she's done a great job with her branding. I can pay her that compliment, even though I don't like her. But I think when you're creating that brand, it should represent you and the people that you want through the door, but you need to make sure there are enough people that it connects with to actually be valuable to your business.
Yes.
You don't want to have a bunch of ass cheeks clapping.
You need to know your audience. It's just like you need to know your numbers. I'm the same way as you when it comes to math. The details, I'm the creator, I'm the visionary. That's not fun for me. But at the same time, you got to know your numbers with your branding. Yes, you want it to be authentic and showcase your personality. And it also needs to and gets to make sure you resonate with a large group of people out there that you can attract and make sense.
Where does that come from, Heidi?
Right.
Where does that come
from?
Know
your people.
Your ideal client.
Yeah.
If you know who you want through the door, you know what to say to them and you know how to decorate the space for them. I wouldn't talk to you, my girlfriend, the same way that I would talk to your grandmother or your mother. It's a very different conversation, which means that it's very different branding. The way that you communicate with your audience is going to be very different based on who you're talking to.
Absolutely. So let's talk about how you help women and how with your program. Can you share if somebody's listening and they're like, oh, Victoria's my girl, and I want to know how I can work with her or know more about what she does and offers, where can they go? And can you tell us about what you have for them?
Absolutely. So with coaching specifically, I have two different types of clients. I categorize people as a type 1 or a type 2. The majority of people fall into type 1 because they're looking for coaching because they just started a business. So if you are thinking to yourself, I don't have enough clients, or I don't know what I don't know, or I don't have any systems in place, or I don't know if I should get an LLC or something else, or if you're thinking of those basic building blocks for your business, or if you're 1 or 2 years in the business and you're thinking, well, I never thought about that. I don't know who my ideal client is. You do not need to pay thousands of dollars to coach with me. It would be a huge waste of my time, and it would be a gigantic pull from your resources to have coaching that way. So instead, what I did I spent the entire summer doing this. I took everything that I teach those level 1 students and I scripted it out. Actually, I mapped out if I started today, what would I need to do all the way through to retargeting clients to get them back through the door so that you have recurrent clientele and your business can sustain itself. I filled in all the blanks in between. And then I scripted each lesson. And then I pulled graphics and resources and the whole thing. And I put it into a course that's not even $1,000. It's not even $500. And you can binge it like Netflix. You don't need to schedule 30 minutes in the middle of your workday with me. You can watch it as many times as you want for the rest of your life, unless I stop paying the hosting company. And that's probably the majority of people. That's exactly what they need. If this resource, a literal step 1, step 2, step 3 recipe for how to build a beauty business, man, I would have been light years ahead of where I am now. For level 2 clients, people who already have a business, they already have clients, and now they're thinking about, how do I expand? How do I make it sellable? How do I hire people? How do I actually create a product? And I created a drug, like get me out of here. That is something that we would have to do some one-on-one coaching to, because it's tailored to you. It's very different. But either of you can find me at victoriaglam.com. And I would be more than happy to work on some big picture projects with you. But I will warn you, I only take 3 students per quarter because I want to give them everything I've got. I've done it before where I had 50 students a month and oh my God, I was so burnt out and I was not giving my best. Yeah. So I've learned that my sweet spot of running my own businesses and being a mom, which is why I got into this to begin with, and also effectively helping other people, is 3 people every 12 weeks.
Yeah. Whether you're just getting started or you're in that next phase and you're like, okay, how can I take this to the next level? And I love, Victoria, that you shared, like, this is why you find the mentor that you resonate with. This is why you look to different people and see, who do I trust? Who do I know? And they're authentically showing up as them. And Victoria is one of these people, which is what I love about you, Victoria. And so I can't push you all enough into, if you're just getting started, she's taken what she learned and what would have really helped her. And that's the beauty of being a mentor and being a coach, is taking it and all putting it together in a very cohesive, organized format where you can binge it, like she said, and she's giving you step by step by step. If she had to do this all over again, this is exactly what she would do. And she's successful at what she does. She's learned the process. Go grab it. Go to victoriaglam.com. And I also love that you shared that you only take on 3 people a quarter. Other coaches out there like, I'll take 150, 200 people, and they're not getting, and I don't say limitations, you know exactly what works for you. You have your boundaries set, which is another great thing about having a mentor, because when you're working with a mentor, you want to work with somebody that has their stuff together, their shit together, and they understand their boundaries, and because they want to give you 100%. And I can't say enough. I think that was incredible that you shared. I'm only working with 3 people, because you want to make sure, especially when, like you said, if you're wanting to launch a new product, it's customizable. It's not a one size
it's a
fits
lot of
all.
work.
Yeah,
It's a lot of research. It's a lot of conversation. Oh yeah, it's a lot. Testing, facility, it's a whole.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, and she knows what she's talking about. This is not something where you want to throw spaghetti at the wall and try and figure this out on your own, and I know this because I looked into starting a shoe line. I obsess with shoes, and I love Swarovski crystals and all things bling. And I literally, Victoria, I'm going to send you pics on the side of my shoes. I literally created a Swarovski crystal heels one by one. I would sit there one by one, put them on, and they're stunning. But to create a business out of that and to build a product line was a whole nother ball game. And I was trying to figure that out on my own. Victoria's giving you the option where you don't have to do that. So to go to victoriaglam.com, go get what she has to offer. Go check her out. Go follow her and go DM her. Where can they find you, Victoria?
At victoria.glam. They can also use code GLAMLIFE15 for 15% off that already really cheap course.
Awesome. And we're going to have all of this stuff in the show notes. So what's the code again, Victoria?
GLAMLIFE15.
Glam Life 15. Awesome. So now, no excuses. Go grab it. If you want things to change, you've got to choose different, right? So this is your opportunity to choose different and make this year your best year yet with her assistance and help. And reach out to her on social, and it's victoria.glam. Go check her out. Her profiles and her what's the word I'm looking for? Now I need some support. Her content is amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. So Victoria, let's have some fun. I have a question for you before I give you the floor. We just send everybody to your profile and to check you out on social. By seeing you and hearing you today and seeing you on your social media platforms, is there something behind the scenes about Victoria we wouldn't know, or we would be surprised? Fun fact about you?
A fun fact about me, like I said, I have been an entrepreneur my whole life. So when I was in college, I actually was a stripper for 4 years and I loved it. People always say, "Oh my God, how'd you get through that?" I never drank while I was there. I've never done a drug in my life. Too scared. And I made so much really good money. And someone told me actually, so the way a strip club works is they don't pay you to be there. You pay to be there. So you pay a house fee when you walk in based on what time you get there. The later in the night, the more you pay. And then at the end of the night, you tip everybody out. So you pay the DJ, you pay security, you pay the bartender, you pay the house moms who takes care of you in the dressing room. I went to pay my house fee, and the girl who works the front door said, I'm writing it down on the slip how much I paid everyone. And she said, "You are the only person who treats this like a business." And that's when it clicked for me that no matter what I was doing, I was always treating it like a business, because I sure was. I was categorizing how much I was tipping out every night. And then I was saving all my receipts from Ulta, from Sephora, from MAC, from Victoria's Secret, because all of that was a tax write-off, getting your nails done, because I was an entertainer. I could write it all off, but only if you had the income to show, right? And I wanted to buy a house after college, so I was saving for it. And she was so right. Someone used to ask me, how do you do this stuff?
That's a good question. Better question. How do you not do it? Yeah.
My senior year of college, I quit dancing and I went to waiting tables because I had, what do they call it when you don't get paid, but you have to do it and it's for school, a job. What is it? An internship. I had an internship working with kids. So I was like, oh, better not run into any of their dads at the club. So I quit, and I met my husband within a couple of weeks, and I had to tell him right away because I knew we were supposed to get married. As soon as I met him, I was like, oh, wow, I already met my husband. I'm 23. I already met my husband. So annoying. I was just starting to have fun. So I told him within the first few weeks, and I said it very casually. I was like, well, when I worked at the club, blah, blah, blah. He was like, what club did you work at? Because he managed bars in downtown Lafayette where I live this whole time. And he didn't know what club I
He's like,
worked
I've
at.
never seen you.
I worked in Baton Rouge in New Orleans. And I was like, oh, the strip club. Everybody knows that. He was like, not me. But I wasn't going to let anyone else go to him and tell
Right.
him that. And then I lose this relationship that I really liked. But that
Yeah.
was the most fun job I've ever had. I loved that job. I was never in any danger. We used to go, and my roommate and I both danced. We would make so much money Monday through Thursday. And as long as our rent was covered for the month, we would leave on a Thursday, a flight anywhere. One time we went to New York for less than 24 hours. We stole a Range Rover. We partied with Rihanna was there. I got kicked out. It was a whole thing. And then we just went right back to JFK and flew home. Just blow it. Who cares? We're 20 years old, 21 years
Right.
old. What do we care?
Right.
That was the most fun time of my life, but it's also where I learned a lot about enforcing policies and boundaries, a whole lot about marketing yourself and selling yourself, having what they call in the club, they call it a mouthpiece, which
Mhm.
just means that you're a sweet talker. You can talk your way, you can convince someone to do what you want, and also how to negotiate, because I wanted more money than what they were asking. These other girls are doing what for $30? Not me. I'm going to need at least 150. I'm premium.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that story and all the learnings that you took from that. And you did treat it like a business. And this is good for you listening. Like what are things that were part of your journey, part of your life, and what were your learnings to it with it? So if you're thinking about starting a business, but you're like, I don't even know where to start. I don't have any skills, or I don't even know what I would be good at. What have you learned throughout your life? And what are the things that your takeaways that could, do for that you somehow could help other people. So that's awesome. And I love how you like learned a lot from sales, and communication and boundaries specifically is such a great topic. Maybe I need to have you back and let's talk about boundaries, because I think that's such an important conversation personally and professionally in both areas of our life. So Victoria, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I know I promised you I would be respectful of your time, and we just went over. So, or I would talk to you for another 2 hours if we could. So thank you for joining me. Go make sure that you go check out Victoria and what she has to offer on Victoria Glam at victoriaglam.com, and go use the code. What's the code again, Victoria?
Glam Life 15.
Glam Life 15. Also, you can go get everything on the show notes and go follow her, but not only just follow her on social at victoria.glam, but go connect with her and reach out to her, because she's pretty awesome. I know you'll have fun in the DMs with her, and just get to know Victoria and all the amazingness that she is. Thank you again, Victoria. Thank you all for listening today. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Be She podcast. In the meantime, be empowered to be seen and heard.